In this video, I'm going to show you how to navigate the events section of the Member Information Center. So once you're logged in, there is an events tab here at the top. Once you click that, there are several things going on here. So for starters, events I've registered for, this would be if we have actual events such as board luncheons or other events that require registration. When we send out those invitations, there's a way to register for those, pay, and things like that. Of course, we haven't been doing any of those lately, but once you do register for an event, if you clicked here, you would see those registrations here. You also have events I've attended or checked in to. This new website and backend launched in March, so there won't be much appearing here for most of you since we've not had any events since March 2020 when everything began. But this is where you would see a history of the events that you've checked into. Going back to the main events area here, we also have a listing of all of the upcoming events that we have on our calendar. Our calendar is something that you can view on our website under Events, Calendar of Events. Events also stream on our homepage. We have a scrolling list of upcoming events here that are clickable so that someone can go through and read more details about a specific event. Back in the Member Information Center, these are clickable as well to get to details on these events. But what I really want to show you is how you can add your own events. Oftentimes our members have events that are open to the public that they would like to include on our calendar, and that is a benefit that you receive. So it's very easy for you to submit events, and you get started by clicking this blue Add Event button. You're going to need to give it a title. I don't have an actual event to add, so just for the purpose of demonstration, I'm just going to do a test event for training. By default, the all-day event box is checked. If it actually has a start and end time, or at least a start time, you're going to want to uncheck this box. Otherwise, you won't be able to edit the times. So pick your event date. Choose a start time. Don't forget to set AM or PM. If it ends the same date, that would default here. You can choose an end time, and then you can also set a recurrence. So if you have a monthly workshop or some kind of support group or something like that that you wanted to add, you could set your recurrence here. You just need to remember, if you set a recurrence and you have a future event that needs to be postponed, rescheduled, or something changes, you'll have to come in here and change that, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Then provide details. It's a good idea to provide as much detail as possible. You can also, in this location, there's lots of other things down here we're going to add, but in this location you can just type a description. You do have a place to add other details, such as meta description is a search engine thing. So if you want this to be found when people Google certain terms, then you would put something in here with your keywords. Search description is what shows up if someone is searching for your event on the website. It's brief text. Location, go ahead and put the name and address of the location for your event. Date and time, same thing. Even though you've put it up here on the calendar, it's not a bad idea to reiterate it here. And then fees and admissions, just define any fees that there are. If there's no fee, you can leave this blank, or you can just say that there is no admission fee or free. Contact information, I encourage you to include a name and email address for a person who they can contact if they have questions. If you have a website to support your event, include that under website URL. And then select event categories. We have lots of different categories here to choose from, but typically our members' events are categorized as a community event. We do have church activities which get used occasionally, as well as fundraisers. Then upload a photo or an image. I actually recommend not using the event header photo, but instead using the main event photo. You can do that by adding an image. It tells you the best size here. You would just click choose file and go find your file. I don't have a 500 by 500 image handy, but that's what you would do. You would just go grab your file. Now, it doesn't mean you can't upload a file that's not 500 by 500, but it just may not render well. So if you can, I would recommend setting it up that way. You would click done if you had your image and upload that. There's a place to add additional photos. The difference in these images here is the event header photo. I'll give you an example from our calendar. An event header photo shows up like this one here. So it's very wide. Chances are you may not have an image like that. If you have a flyer that you want to include, you're going to need to actually convert it to an image to upload it. If you don't know how to do that or have trouble with it, you can always contact us at the Chamber at 972-524-5703 or email one of us and we can help you with that. The other thing is that if you need to get an image or you're in here submitting details and then you realize, oh, I need to go get an image, I don't have it handy, maybe you need to get someone to help you with it, you can always save your draft and then log back in and come in and finish your listing. One thing I recommend is including Google Maps link, so that especially if you're in a location that maybe you think people will need to navigate to, just type that address in here. You need the street address, city, state, and postal code. So if I do this for the Chamber office, it would look like this. And then I've typed that in there so you can view it on the map just to make sure it's the right location. And then I can submit my event for approval. There is option also for YouTube video. If you have a YouTube video and you want to paste in the video URL here, you can include that. But I'm going to save this as a draft actually. And here's the problem with my listing. I did not change the noon end time to actual noon. I had it as AM. So now let me try this again. Save as a draft. Okay, it's successfully saved. Okay, so say, I go get anything that I had missing and I come back in here, I can just go back to events after I log into the Member Information Center, go to Manage Events, and here's where I would see a list of the different events that I have submitted. It lets me know the status. So here's my saved draft. I can just click in here and come in here and make any changes, additions that I need to make. Same goes if you had to reschedule something, you can come in here and just instead of having to resubmit the whole thing, you could just log in and change the date, maybe make a note so that everyone knows in the details that maybe it was postponed or originally scheduled for a different date, but it's been moved. But you can do that as well. Add your images if that's what you needed to go finish up and come back in and add those. And then when you're done, you will submit for approval. When you submit an event for approval, it actually shows up on the back end for us at the Chamber to review. And then we will approve that to go into the calendar. One other great thing about submitting events to our calendar is that they appear automatically in our weekly email newsletter. So we usually include at least about a month's worth of events that are coming up in our weekly email newsletter. So just the name of the event is what will show up, and then that will be a clickable link that someone can view more details. So just be mindful of that when you're naming your event, when you're coming up with what your event title is. That is what will appear in the newsletter. And that is how you add and manage events.